We've known for a while that the movie theater industry, because of the COVID crisis, has been in a lot of trouble. Like, this has been obvious and evident, and we've known this for a while. No theater was in more trouble than AMC Theatres, and really through no fault of their own in many ways. AMC Theatres had gone through a period just prior to COVID, to get everybody caught up here. Prior to COVID, AMC Theatres had gone through a lot of money spending, but it was all good money spending. It was smart money spending. They were buying up some new theaters. They spent a hell of a lot of money on upgrading a lot of their theaters. That's why you go into a lot of AMC theaters now. They're like palaces for movies. You go in, you get your motorized electric leather recliners and incredible sound. And they spent a hell of a lot of money on getting AMC A-List, the best thing I said to ever happen to film fans, the AMC A-List program up and running. And just before COVID hit, they had spent pretty much everything they were going to spend. They had pretty much done most of their upgrades. AMC A-List was now turning a profit. Everything was great. They were in a lot of debt because of all the spending, but it positioned them to make a lot of money moving forward. So we've known for a while that AMC, more than any of the other theaters, was in big, big trouble. Well, it's looking even more bleak right now. Variety is running a story right now that the industry is predicting that AMC Theatres, as of right now, could run out of money by the end of 2020, or at best in the early parts of 2021. This isn't a big surprise, but it's just having it put into black and white. They write AMC Theatres in danger of running out of cash by the end of the year or early 2021 if moviegoers don't return to cinemas in greater numbers, the world's largest exhibitor warned in public filings on Tuesday. So this isn't even just somebody out there saying it. AMC is acknowledging this. We're in massive trouble. Goes on and say this. Now, this is from the reports that are coming out. Given the reduced movie slate for the fourth quarter, in the absence of significant increases in attendance from current levels of incremental sources of liquidity at the existing cash burn rate, the company anticipates that existing cash resources will be largely depleted by the end of 2020 or early 2021, AMC reports. Thereafter, to meet its obligations as they become due, the company will require additional sources of liquidity or increase in attendance levels. Guess what? Attendance levels ain't about to change anytime frickin' soon.
Nope.
Even if they had all the theaters open, there ain't no movies coming out. So that's got to be a little bit expected. The required amounts of additional liquidity are expected to be material. That just means it's ass serious. When they say it's expected to be material, that just means it's really, really serious. Rob, you and I have said over the past little while that I fully believe, and I still do to this day, that if movie theaters can survive this period of time, this finite period of time, and still be alive by the time the movies start coming back into theaters, that the movie theater industry will be perfectly fine. There will be a lot of big movies to come out in mid to late 2021. A lot of people are going to be itching to get back to the movies. They will be fine. However, that if they can survive until that point is the germane topic here. And as I've been saying in the last little while, it is just looking more and more like that if they can survive to that point is becoming more and more doubtful. When they pulled Black Widow, going back a number of weeks now, it was like, oh no. Because without Black Widow, that was going to be the first step in building that momentum that they were hoping Tenet would start and keep that ball rolling and whatever. Wonder Woman had been moved to December already, but still December. Then Bond moved. And then Dune moved. And then they just announced Soul got pulled off the release schedule. And it's just a matter of time. And then Regal shut down, at least temporarily. They've shut their doors. And now it's just a matter of time before they announce that Wonder Woman is going to get pulled off that December 25th release date. I mean, I hope it opens on December 25th. I really do. But I have very little faith at this point that it will. So with all these things piling up more and more and more, I have not changed my opinion that if the theaters can survive all this, they'll be fine long term. But my skepticism that they can survive that this period is getting more and more diminished. Rob, the bankruptcy and the closing of AMC Theatres. Now, AMC Theatres talked about we're looking at other options, increasing our debt, but you got to have somebody willing to give you money to increase your debt. Yeah. They've talked about selling off some of their theaters, maybe downscaling. They'll no longer be the #1 theater chain in the world, but you got to do what you got to do, maybe. But then would all of these things just be temporary Band-Aids? Because could they get themselves into so much debt that even if they're alive by the time the movies start coming back, they will have dug themselves into an insurmountable hole that they just will not be able to get out of? It is, look, I am a very pro movie theater guy. Everybody knows I get criticized for being as pro movie theater as I am. Movie theater experience is the only experience. That's my opinion. But you also got to be a realist. This is looking more and more bleak by the day. That this, and it's a shame, Rob, because we're coming out of a year in 2019 that was the 3rd largest box office year in recorded history. Theaters were making money. AMC decided we can spend all this money. We had Cineworld doing expansions. They even looked at buying that Canadian theater chain, Cineplex. I mean, the theaters were feeling good. The studios are feeling good. And then COVID hit. And people suddenly couldn't pay their bills. And theaters had to close their doors. And they've now, I don't know what restaurant can close their doors for 8 months and stay in business. It's looking bleak. Rob, this report comes out. You're seeing it now. It's kind of, even AMC is saying, yep, we're about to run out of money, which only increases. Like I said on this show, when they said they're going to keep their doors open, when Regal said they were going to say, well, what the hell kind of logic is that? But Rob, this report comes out about this. Does it surprise you at all? How does it influence like your long-term projections on their ability to survive this thing? How do you see this right now?
It's bleak, dude. I mean, I look at this and the reality of the situation is, you know, the release of Tenet proved, at least in this country, that people are not ready. Everybody wants to go back to the movies, but they're not ready to go back to the movies yet. And, you know, maybe Tenet being the heady concoction that it is might have been the wrong movie to lead with. I think more of a populist movie like a Black Widow might have worked a little better. But I got to tell you, this really does bum me out. Because, you know, even going into the new year, we're 2.5 months away from the end of this year. And then we're expecting, I mean, then we're 4 months into the next year. How are things going to substantially, we're not watching things, luckily here in LA County, things are starting to decrease, but in the rest of the country, they're going back up. You know, the problem is the audience needs to help out movie theaters by helping out each other by adhering to more protocols, wearing masks, things like that. And it's got to be all hands on deck. And we're not doing that great of a job as a nation doing that. And I fear for movie theaters. You know, I really do. What did Chris Rock say? What were you talking about the other day about what the movie going experience means to our culture? I mean, it's not just movie theaters either. It's theater, it's Broadway, it's all of these gathering places that we go that make the fabric of our society or a rich place to live in and exist in and to be in. And I don't want to see it go away, but it's academic. They have money there's so much rent and so much money they have to spend, and their businesses, they're not taking in any money. What are they supposed to do?
Yeah, and going back again to that Chris Rock thing, which I was thinking about what he was saying last night a lot, because to me, the horror of not having that movie-going experience, of not being able to see movies the way they are meant to be seen in a collective environment on the truly big screen. Your 75-inch little TV, that's adorable, but it's shit compared to a real movie screen and a real theater sound system and the collective. But you know what Chris Rock said about, it's like just socially, the importance socially for us as a culture, like going out for an evening out, it is the most economical thing we can do. You know, with whether you're going on dates, it's a part of it. Look, it's a part of so many of our mating rituals. Going to the movies is just such a big part of the mating ritual, right? But on top of that, it's like an evening out with friends, whatever, getting together. It's a hell of a lot cheaper than most other things. So once again, we're losing things that are just going to require us to sit at home on our asses, just like we did last night, and just like we did the night before, and just like you did the night before, and your couch is starting to smell like fart and whatever. It really bums me out the more and more I'm thinking about it, but it's looking more and more like it could become a reality. And it's a scary thing to me. Rob, if you had to try to see what is the path to victory here, and that's a phrase I'm going to use a little bit later in the show too, but if you could see right now or try to speculate or even just being hopeful about what is their path out of this, what could be a sequence of events that leads us to getting to the other side of this thing where the theater experience is still there, the theatrical industry is okay, and they made it out to the other side. What's their path to that?
Well, unfortunately, I don't think that they themselves have much of a path. I mean, look, like you've had two very hopeful movie-going experiences yourself, and you were seeing that the movie theaters were really taking this seriously and taking the safety precautions they needed to take. You felt safe in those movie theaters, and they did their part. You know, they were stepping up, and now they don't have. It's academic. They don't have the movies that they need, at least for the next 2.5 months, to do anything. So their hands are tied. I think the only thing that they can do is get behind our population and encourage people to take this seriously and to do what they need to do. I mean, I would start a campaign. If you want to come back to the movies, you know, if you want to see movies again, you have to help one another out. Help your fellow moviegoers out, because we want to see movies in theaters again. Encourage people to adhere to precautions or something, because it's right now it's in the hands, believe it or not, it's in the hands of the audience itself. Do we want to go back to the movies? Do you want to I mean, we are watching our entire civilization, whether it's restaurants and bars and all of our social, the fabric of our society that makes it worth living here is literally being turned off. And it's up to us to make sure it gets turned back on.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Question here is,
I'm willing to do my part.
Yep, as am I, and I think most people watching are too. Question here is, guys, what do you think about this report coming out about AMC? It does look like they are imminently about to run out of cash. What's going to happen? Is somebody else think they're a good enough investment to pour even more tens of millions of dollars into? Do they start selling off their locations? Do they close their doors? Do they make it out to the other side? What do you guys think is going to happen here? Jump into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys.